Should you date your coworkers? This was something I've been asked about recently. Like, is it right or wrong to date coworkers? Should you have a rule about not shitting where you eat? Should you keep your work environment clean and healthy and not mix professional and personal life together? And I think this is unrealistic to have this hard set rule, and it's only an excuse. Like, people who say this are making an excuse, because the reality is any fishing pond you have available is a good place to meet women, period. Now, there are rules you should have for dating women at work, because your coworker, like, it is a riskier environment to date women than versus Tinder. Tinder, who cares? There's no reputation. But at work, you have a real reputation. There's an HR department, potentially. Your manager might give a shit if you're dating someone. You may create a weird work culture where you bring things to work that should stay at home, so you shouldn't. But people who work and date, this is super common. In fact, my parents met at work. So if this was a hard rule that they lived by, I would not exist. So when it comes to this, I don't think this is a good strategy for being successful in dating. I just think it's an excuse to keep yourself single. If you're going to date a coworker, you have to also take on the risks that come with dating a coworker, which, to be fair, are the same risks you take with dating anybody, except there's a reputational piece to it. But even dating at like the gym, there's a bit of reputation there as well, but it's less than at work. So in this video, I'm going to articulate my thoughts on dating coworkers, do's and don'ts, and why analytical men use this as just another way to keep them single. And let's start with that. Any excuse you have that keeps you from asking a girl out is an excuse that keeps you single. So guys will not approach girls in the middle of the day because, oh, it's disrespectful. Guys will not approach girls at the gym because, oh, she's busy. Guys will not approach girls at work because, oh, we've got the work culture. And all of these are just excuses your brain is using to keep you from potentially having a relationship. There are safe ways to date women at work that are not going to create this odd dynamic for you. The first rule you should follow is feel them out. Like, talk to them like you would any other coworker. Get to know them in the same way that you would any other coworker. And from those conversations, look for subtle signs of real attraction. And I'll give you some examples from my own experience. There was a new girl that started working at my job years ago, okay? And so we were working at this catering company, and I'm walking to a catering event. I've never interacted with this girl. She's brand new, okay? I'm her boss. So I haven't even bothered to train her or interact with her or introduce myself, because the culture of this environment is people come in and out so much, and it's not corporate. So I really didn't care. But she was cute. But I was focused on work. So I'm walking to this catering event, and she is walking behind me with some other people that she knows and is friends with. And she ditches them to walk up next to me to ask me some work question. And I immediately went, this girl's into me. Because why else would you ditch your friends in this situation that, like, as we're walking up to this event, it's not like this work moment where you need to interact with your boss or ask me some question about work. This was not the time to be asking me a specific work question. This was the time to be bullshitting. So who are you going to bullshit with? Are you going to bullshit with your manager that you don't even know? Or are you going to bullshit with your friends? You're going to bullshit with your friends. So I knew immediately, okay, this girl's into me. And so then I asked myself, do I want to pursue this? Now, pursuing it was risky. I didn't know any of the other rules I'm going to break down in this video to protect you in the way that I could not have protected myself. But from that moment, I thought, she's cute. She's showing me clear interest. I want to reciprocate that interest. So I engaged in the conversation. We didn't do any crazy flirting. I didn't touch her. I didn't escalate, because in the beginning of dating someone you work with or dating someone in a risky environment, you want to create familiarity before you try to create attraction. Now, there's a balance to this. If you create too much familiarity and never go for attraction, then yeah, you get friend zoned. And I know you're already thinking that. This is how you get friend zoned. I'm aware. Yes, if you go too far one way or the other, you get friend zoned, or you get labeled an HR problem if you are constantly trying to build attraction with everyone that you meet, or you're hitting on everybody, right? So that's the first rule, is build a little bit of familiarity with the girl. And that's what I did with this girl. Where I messed up was then I mixed work and personal together. So while we were at work, we would also, if we were fighting over something in our relationship, we would talk about it at work. If we were going to go on a date right after work, it was like clouding our judgment at work because we were thinking about the date that we were going to go on after work. So it's really, don't even talk about it until work is over. Then you bring up, hey, I'm going to go grab a drink over here. You should come. That's when you bring it up. When work is ending or over, not in the middle of the shift. So those rules, that other rule of not mixing the conversations in, would have saved me a lot of headache that I ended up having with this girl. I'll give you another example of another coworker. Another coworker that showed me subtle signs that she was into me. A subtle sign is the same thing. She really did the same thing. Totally different job, totally different girl. She did the same thing. I'm being trained by my by my coach, right? And so he's training me, and in the middle of him training me, she like comes over to introduce herself, and not in a very professional, hi, my name is blah 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 way, but in like she makes an observation about me. She's like, you seem like you've worked in restaurants before. You just kind of got this vibe. And the way she was looking at me, because you can kind of feel the energy, right? This was how I knew, okay, this is not a normal interaction. This is not a normal work thing. Every other employee that comes up to me goes, hi, my name's Bob. Hi, my name's Sonia. Hi, my name's blah, blah, blah. That's how they introduce themselves. People don't come up and make observations about you unless there's a little bit of interest in you, unless they've been observing you, right? That's what an observation is. So who do you observe other than people you have some kind of interest in? And what other interests are you going to have in me if I just started working here? It's my first day. And you're a cute girl is also like looking at me across the way, right? So these are like how I got the subtle signs from the women that they wanted to build that familiarity. Now, this is not them jumping at me. This is not them showing signs that they want me to ask them out or kiss them or do anything crazy or do anything very direct like you would in a different environment. Like if you met a girl on the beach that you're never going to see again, yeah, you want to be more direct than this. But this is an environment where I'm going to literally see this girl every day. Not even in the gym sense where I'm going to just see her from across the room every day. I'm going to have to interact with her every day. So it's very high pressure in the way that we have to interact. We have to be careful with this in these moments. So in this case, I just focused on building familiarity with the girl first. Over 2-3 days, 3-ish, 1 to 2 to 3 conversations per day, sprinkled throughout the shift. Nothing crazy. I get to know a little bit about like, what do you do outside of this job? What are you into? Nothing major, right? Like I'm really having the same conversation here's how I picture it. If my manager saw me having this conversation and he's worried about an HR issue, this conversation should look the exact same as all my other coworker conversations. I'm not going to bring a lot of flirtation into it until we have left work. It goes back to that rule I mentioned, which is keep work and personal separate. And that includes the way you interact with each other. Try your best to not give each other googly eyes all fucking day, okay? And this is how you can interact with a coworker. Now, going back into this idea of this not being a good strategy and that being an excuse. People who say that you shouldn't intermix work and dating are people that don't know how to follow these rules, are people that don't know how to date in any context. They're using this as an excuse to keep them from actually having the life that they want to have, that they claim they want to have. If you're a man who knows how to build attraction in the proper way, and that proper way is something that I break down in a 1-hour video that you can click the link in the description to watch. But that proper way means that there is a sense of calibration going on. Okay? There is this sense of understanding that the environment, the context, and the level of attraction that you both have for each other determines how much flirting or vibe you're going to give in those environments and those interactions with women. There are times where creating comfort is necessary. There are times where creating comfort is not as big of a deal. So you should be focused more on flirting, more on creating attraction, more on getting sexual. Like in a club, you don't want to like ask her about her family, right? You're here there to have fun. You're there to be sexy, have fun, kiss, buy drinks, dance, have, just have a blast, right? Have fun. Like I said 3 times, have fun. But if you brought that same club energy into work, you're going to have a problem with your boss, right? So in that environment, you need to be more calibrated. You need to be more comfort building. And then there's kind of this in between of the gym, or if you're at the grocery store, it's going to be a little different. Or if you're on the street, or if you're at the mall, or if you meet her at yoga or at run club, they're all going to be slightly different levels of how much familiarity am I building, how much comfort am I building, how much attraction am I really building, how much flirting am I really doing, am I teasing her or not. All those things are going to change slightly based on what environment you're in and how interested in you she is. If she's highly interested and you flirt with her too much, you may go a little bit overboard, in which case dialing it back and being comfort building and allowing her to get to know you is just smart calibration. So what I'm teaching you is how to interact with any woman, anytime, anywhere. That is what I teach. And that's why I believe that crossing work off as no way, I would never talk to a girl at work, is you just protecting the current version of you and keeping yourself single. And so anyone that gives you that advice is just someone who isn't calibrated enough to talk to people that they work with. Ultimately, you can pursue potential romantic relationships at your job if you're more calibrated. Now, if you have difficulty interacting with women in all areas, if you overthink this stuff, because there's a lot that goes into this, or if calibration seems really complicated to you, again, check out that 1-hour video training. It will really get the ball rolling for you. But if you're ready for deeper work, then there's also a link in the description to apply to work with me one-on-one. And in that application, I can get some more information about what your specific situation is, and then we can get on a call and talk more details about how I may be able to help you solve the challenges in your dating life that you're facing. So if you're interested in that, click the link down below. Otherwise, guys, that's all for this video. Don't let someone create rules for you that keeps your life small when your life could be bigger and better. Just make your own decisions, learn how to calibrate, and become the best version of yourself. And if you want to learn more about that, keep watching the content here because that's all I'm preaching. Let's fucking go. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.